Uber almost always hides their crash settlements, but this time they didn't. Today I'm revealing how one Uber passenger walked away with a $900,000 payout, and the surprising legal move that forced Uber's insurer to pay huge. This isn't theory, this is real. If you've been injured in an Uber crash, or you just want to know what it takes to get paid fairly by a billion-dollar company, this case will open your eyes. Now, this isn't one of my cases, but it's one of the rare Uber settlements that wasn't kept confidential, so we can talk about it. Ben had been drinking that night, so he did the right thing. He called an Uber. He never expected the real danger would come from the driver meant to get him home safe, but that's exactly what happened. During the ride, the Uber driver caused a serious crash. Ben was rushed to the hospital wearing a C-collar, and later he needed back surgery. If you were injured in an Uber crash in Florida and you think someone else might be at fault, click the link in the description below to see if I could be the lawyer for you. This wasn't a fender bender. Another passenger took a quick payout, just over $100,000, and walked away. But Ben didn't settle. Ben held out. Now, here's where things get interesting. Uber drivers are covered by two levels of insurance. $50,000 if they're logged in but haven't accepted a ride, and up to $1 million once they've accepted a ride request, whether the passenger's in the car or not. But here's the catch. Uber's insurance only kicks in if their driver caused the crash. So proving fault, that is everything. In Ben's case, fault was obvious. And because of that, Uber's insurer eventually offered a large settlement. But it wasn't because they were feeling generous. Ben's attorneys, Mike and Chris, didn't accept Uber's lowball offers. Before the surgery, they demanded around $500,000. Uber came back with something like $100,000. That wouldn't even cover the bills. That's a classic move. Insurers know that some victims will take a quick check early before the full cost of treatment or long-term damage shows up. It saves the insurance company money, but usually costs the injured person way more in the end. And as Ben's medical treatment continued and his bills grew, that $500,000 demand quickly became too low. He eventually had back surgery, but even after that, he needed ongoing care to manage the pain. Insurers are usually willing to pay more for pain and suffering after surgery because there's no doubt anymore that you're going to actually go through it. So Ben's lawyers sued. They used a powerful legal move available in many states called a statutory offer of settlement. Here's how that works. If the defense rejects your offer and you win more than 25% above that at trial, they could be forced to pay your attorney's fees and court costs on top of the verdict. But here's the kicker. Uber almost always demands confidentiality. Don't take my word for it. Try finding a public Uber crash settlement. They're nearly all hidden. In this case, the offer didn't include it, and Uber's legal team accepted anyway. Why? Probably because if they refused and lost that trial, they could have been forced to pay even more. After accepting, they tried to add confidentiality back in, but Ben's lawyers said, not unless you pay more. Uber passed on that. And just like that, the case settled for $900,000. No strings, no silence clause. And that's why this case can finally be talked about. Most Uber crash victims never find out what these cases are worth because Uber buries nearly all of them. That's what makes this one different. Finally, a rideshare injury payout that's public. But here's what really matters if you've been hurt. Getting Uber's insurance to pay directly is tough. They usually try to shift the blame or push fast, lowball settlements. But if your injuries are serious, and if the fault is clear, and if you know how to pressure the insurer using the right tools, you've got a shot at life-changing compensation. But most Uber crash victims blow it by skipping one simple step. They don't learn how these claims really work. I break it all down in the video that's on screen, links in the description, so watch it now. And if you've been injured in an Uber accident, click the link below to see if I could be the lawyer for you.